What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name's CJ, and in today's video, we're going to be checking out some more of the single stat player props. We're talking points, assists, rebounds, and three-point makes over on PrizePicks. So we're looking to rebound from yesterday's video. Didn't do so well yesterday. We had a few picks that hit previous videos. 6 out of 8, 6 out of 8. Yesterday, not so hot. So it's like that sometimes. There's little ebbs and flows in the daily fantasy sports world, some ups and downs that you're going to go through. So we're looking to bounce back and rebound in a very big way in this one. Now, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure that you are and that notifications are turned on. The reason is because the projections in the video are only going to be good for so long. Yes, they do have a shelf life of about an hour after I post this video. Then things will start moving and changing. So it's going to be more and more imperative, more crucial, more critical that you are subscribed with notifications turned on so you don't miss any of the picks that I put out in these videos. So without further ado, let's get into it because we got a pretty big size NBA slate today. So we're going to talk some points first and foremost. And the first guy I want to mention is RJ Barrett. Now this prop stood out to me because I saw a little bit of a, we'll say a deviation, a difference here at 19.5 points. I saw him at 18.5 points somewhere else, and the under was looking like the way to go. So let's start things off here by looking at the game total and the spread for this one. The New York Knicks are taking on the San Antonio Spurs tonight. That game tips off at 7:40 p.m. here on the East Coast. Of course, I'm down here in Florida, the Sunshine State. So 216.5 is the total on the board, with New York as a 5-point home favorite against this San Antonio Spurs team. Now, I'm kind of surprised, honestly, that the spread isn't more than what it is with the way that the New York Knicks have been playing recently. Playing very good basketball. Of course, they clinched their playoff berth. First time in a long time that they'll be making an appearance in the postseason. So now that we know the game total and the spread, we can move ahead here and look at some projections for points on RJ Barrett. So we'll make things nice and easy. I'll just type in RJ and up comes his name. Now he's at 19.1 points over on NumberFire. By the way, NumberFire, totally free site, offers free projections for points, rebounds, assists, even fantasy points. So if you're into that sort of thing, definitely check out NumberFire. But at 19.1 points, that puts him under 19.5. Now, if we're looking to take the under here, we need him to score 19 or less points. So this is a good step in the first good step in the right direction here. So let's type in RJ Barrett's name. We'll open up a new tab here. And you can see that for the season, he is scoring 17.5 points per game. Now, I don't have to tell you this, but 17.5 points is less than 19.5, 2 whole points under 19.5. So what we do from here is we go and check out the 5-game averages and see how he's been playing in his most recent games versus how he's been playing for the season. We want to see that scoring average hopefully go down versus where he's been at for the season. Now, in the last 5 games, he's appeared in all 5. He's playing 37 minutes per game, 15.6 points per game, which is fantastic because 15.6 is a lot lower than 17.5, his season average, and 15.6 is obviously quite a bit lower than 19.5. So his scoring averages are trending downward, and that makes for a good underplay. So I'm sticking with the under so far. Nothing really knocking me off course here. Now, the last site we look at is RotoWire. RotoWire is great because it provides a side-by-side look at different sports books across the industry, which can be a good piece of information, a good reference point here. So we're going to look at those real quick. Now, something that caught my eye, I mentioned it when we first started talking to RJ Barrett. We got him at 19.5, 19.5. This one right here, 18.5 points. Now, at 18.5 points, he is a minus 125 to go under. So if he's a minus 125 to go under at 18.5 points, it would seem like a no-brainer to click the under on 19.5 points. We're basically being spotted a free point here by PrizePicks. Now, you can see these other 2 books here at 19.5 minus 114. So a slight juice over on the under there. And then finally, 19.5 here, you got minus 113 under, minus 113 over. Not really seeing any action one way or the other. But I can safely say that his projections are under 19.5. His season averages are under 19.5. His last 5 games are lower than his season averages and even lower than his 19.5 point prop today on PrizePicks. And finally, we've got him at 18.5, where people are taking the under there at a minus 125. So guys, this is going to be one of my favorite picks from the video. Anytime that they are giving us a free point in this case, where you've seen them at 19.5, but you got them at 18.5, you just take it and you live with the results, because that is an edge that I just cannot look away from. So I'm sticking with it. I like the under here at 19.5 points for RJ Barrett. Now, the next guy I want to talk about is also a young point guard. He happens to play for the Chicago Bulls. And of course, I'm talking Coby White, who's at 16.5 points. Now, I think that might be a little bit too high, being that both Nikola Vucevic and Zach LaVine are in the lineup, and those guys are usage monsters, meaning they get the bulk of the work here for the Chicago Bulls, and everybody else is kind of left with table scraps, crumbs. Coby White is no different. So at 16.5 points, I think I'm looking to take the under here. But let's head over to Number Fire. We will scroll on over here and find this game total and spread. Chicago. There we go. Chicago taking on Toronto. It looks like it's a 216-point total. Now, Chicago is a 10.5-point favorite in this one. So blowout potential, yes, very high. Very likely that this game blows out. It looks like Chicago is a massive home favorite in this one. Not a ton of points. So when the totals are low, I like to go under, and I think this is a good spot for us to potentially target an under at 16.5 points. All right, with that out of the way, let's do a search here for Coby White. And again, I do Control F to bring up the search function. You can use Command F if you're on an Apple computer. But at 15.2 points, that puts him quite a bit under 16.5 points. In fact, 1.3 points under 16.5. So that is a great sign for me. If we take Coby White under and he scores 16 or less points, well, I think we're going to be making some money tonight. And that's what we aim to do, obviously. So we're going to go to NBA.com, pull up Coby White's player profile here. You can see him at 15.2 points per game for the season. Now, again, that is still quite a bit less than 16.5, so the under is still looking like a fantastic way to go here. But we cannot stop our research there. We must dig in deeper and try to get as much information as we can about these player props. So in the last 5 games, he's appeared in all 5 of those games. He's averaging 32 minutes per game. Now, this is a big red flag. He is scoring almost 20 points per game in his last 5 games. Now, maybe he had a game or two where he had a big scoring output, but 19.8 points being 4.6 points higher than his season average. I don't know that the 19.8 is sustainable. Again, with Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic on the lineup, yeah, I just don't know that he's going to get up to 19 or 20 points per game regularly. So yes, it's something we should take into consideration. Should we live and die by the 5-game averages? No, not so much, but it's something that we should definitely be aware of. So let's move back over to RotoWire. We'll type in Coby White's name. Now you can see across the board here, he is at 16.5 points. We're not really seeing any action here. He's a minus 113 under and over. Here at 16.5, he is a minus 120 for the under. So not a huge position on the under, but nonetheless, it is favoring the under here. And then last but not least, the final site, minus 118 under. So again, not a huge position being taken out here on the under on 16.5 points, but it is an under nonetheless. So 2 out of the 3 sports books that we can reference have action that favors the under. On top of that, his season averages are below 16.5. Yeah, his last 5 games are up there in terms of scoring average. It's trending upward, which, again, I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think it's something that we're going to come to expect from Coby White going forward. At some point, he's going to return back to those season averages, as that is a larger sample size, and one that we can count on more than we should for the last few games. So on top of that, he is projected to go under 16.5 points, and this game projects to be low scoring and a blowout. So I'm going to stick with it. I think the under on Coby White at 16.5 points is still a good look and a good way to go here. All right, the next prop I want to talk about is from a fellow Chicago Bull and a guard in this case, and that's going to be Zach LaVine. But we're not talking Zach LaVine points. No, we're going to move over to Zach LaVine and look at his assists tonight. Now, his assists are set up at 4.5 versus the Toronto Raptors. I think that he has a good chance to go over here. Now, it's close. Zach LaVine is very involved in this offense. His usage is pretty high, and, there's a chance that this could go 50-50 here, but let's click the assist column. Let's type in Zach LaVine's name, and you can see that at 5.1 assists, that does put him over 4.5, which means we need him to assist 5 or more times. So 5.1, obviously more than 5, so that is a good first look here. So let's type his name in and go look at NBA.com, get an idea on his season averages, his 5-game averages, and we'll go from there. So for the season, 4.9 assists. He's right there at the cusp of 5 assists, which is where we need him to be tonight. So more often than not, between 4 and 5 assists, he's over on the 5 side of things, which is a good sign for us. So we're going to click the stats, go to traditional splits, change this to a 5-game season segment, and click run. All right, so you can see that in his last 5 games, he's appeared in 4 out of those last 5, 33 minutes per game. And during that time, his assist numbers are down, very, very down at 2.8 assists per game. So if we're looking to take the over, which was my initial gut reaction here at 4.5 assists, well, this is going to be raising a red flag for me. So the fact that, he's under 5 assists for the season averages and his assists are trending downward over his last 5 games, this might be a candidate for me to flip-flop on, meaning I came in thinking the over might be the way to go, but I might leave thinking that this is either a fade or this is one of those situations where we take the under. Now, we got 3 sports books here who have him up at 4.5 assists. We've got him over at a -127, over at a -122, and last but not least, to cap it off, and over at -128. So all 3 books agree that the over is the way to go, but I'm a little skeptical after looking at the averages for the season and the last 5 games. And one other thing that makes me skeptical here is the fact that this game is kind of low scoring as far as the implied total goes, and the fact that this game is expected to blow out. So if it blows out, then that could cut into Zach LaVine's production tonight. And so for this one, I'm not feeling super confident about it. I would probably fade because when it's not super clear to me, I just like to walk away and look for a better play elsewhere. So, if the information I provided leads you to believe he can go over or under, well, go with it. But in this case, I'm not comfortable playing it, so I'm going to look for a better play elsewhere. And maybe we will have a better play over here because we got some rebound props that we're going to talk about next. We got 3 of them, actually. We've got Giannis Antetokounmpo, the first guy I want to talk about here. He's at 11.5 boards, taking on the Indiana Pacers tonight. 7:10 p.m. is the tip-off on PrizePicks. So let's go look at Giannis Antetokounmpo. We'll start things off by looking at the game totals and the spread for this one. And there we go. We've got a huge total on the board, 243.5 points. So normally I'm a guy who likes 230 or more implied points, but this game has an implied total of over 240 points. So even better. This would be a good game to target some overs on. Indiana, 9.5 points underdog. So this game could blow out. That's the only thing working against anybody who you play from this game that is a major star. So a guy like Giannis, a guy like Sabonis, if you're looking to take unders on these guys or overs on these guys rather, this game could blow out, which means that they may not get a full run of minutes in this situation. All right, but enough of that. Let's look at the rebound prop today for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, his first name is a lot easier to spell than his last name, so we type in Giannis, and we've got 11.3 rebounds, which puts him right around 11.5, but 11.3 obviously closer to 11 than it is 12. So far, this would indicate that we should be looking at taking an under on Giannis's rebounds in this situation here. But we're going to have to look at some averages, get a better idea of how well he's actually been pulling down rebounds for the season and the last 5 games. You can see for the season, 11 rebounds per game. Now that is a good sign, because if we are looking to take the under here at 11.5 rebounds and he pulls down 11, well then we would be getting paid. This would be a great situation for an under. So we'll click the traditional splits, go advanced filters, change the season segment to 5 games, click run and see what happens. All right, so he's appeared in all 5 of the last 5 games. He's playing 31.4 minutes per game. Minutes are a little down. And then in that time span, his rebounds per game are at 9.4. So obviously 9.4 is lower than his PrizePicks projection of 11.5 and quite a bit lower also versus his season average of 11 rebounds. So that's good, because if we are looking to take the under and his rebound numbers are trending downward, well, that's the kind of stuff I look for a strong play, strong correlation, we'll call it. So then we'll head over to the rebound section of RotoWire, type in Giannis's name here, and you got 3 books here that have him up at 11.5 rebounds. Now the first one, nothing really helping us here because the under and the over are tied at 113. Now over here, we've got him at minus 130. Now, that's a pretty strong indication that we should be thinking about playing the under here on Giannis Antetokounmpo in these 11.5 rebounds. And last but not least, we're going to cap things off in a big, strong way. Minus 149 for the under. Guys, these are the types of numbers that we hope for, that we dream of. Minus 149 on the under at 11.5 rebounds is too hard for me to ignore. I've got too much evidence that favors the under on 11.5 rebounds, so I'm going to stick with it and pray that Giannis Antetokounmpo is kept off the glass tonight versus this Indiana Pacers team. Although the totals are high, it does look like it's going to blow out. So hopefully, his night is cut short because they have such a big lead and they just run Indiana off the floor. So I'm going to stick with it, take the under on Giannis Antetokounmpo under 11.5 boards. Which brings us to the next guy who has been crushing it over the last handful of games. Of course, I'm talking about Domantas Sabonis, son of legendary baller Arvydas Sabonis. And a lot of you guys probably remember him from the Portland Trailblazers in the late 90s, I want to say mid to late 90s. But he was an even better player before he reached the NBA. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. But 12.5 boards seems awfully high. And now it's kind of the same situation as Giannis Antetokounmpo here. And the fact that this game, yes, it does have a high total, but the spread is pretty worrisome. This game could be a blowout, a runaway, where Domantas Sabonis doesn't get enough minutes to hit 12.5 rebounds. But let's dig in here. Let's look at the projections for his rebounds today. We will type in Sabo, and that gets us right to where we need to be. Now, he's at 12.3 rebounds, so kind of a similar setup here as it was for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Remember, Giannis was at 11.5. They had him at 11.3 on number fire. Well, Domantas Sabonis is at 12.5, and he's at 12.3 on number fire. So kind of similar situation here. Let's move over here and look at Sabonis. And we'll take a look at his season averages for rebounds first, where he's at 12 boards per game. Having a great season, 20 and 12 with 6 assists. Whew. Guy's a baller. He could have been on the Orlando Magic. We traded him away. Unbelievable. Anyway, 12 rebounds, obviously a lot less than 12.5. Well, not a lot, but it is less than 12.5. So if we're looking to take the under on 12.5 boards tonight, we just need him to have an average game, right? 12 rebounds is his average. So if he has an average game of 12 or less boards, then we're going to get paid once again. Now, some scary stuff here with Sabonis. And I say scary because he's played in all 5 of the last 5 games. His minutes, 40.2 minutes per game. The dude just doesn't leave the floor. It would be nice if he left the floor a little bit more often, because when he's not out on the floor, well, he doesn't rack up any stats. And in this case, we are looking to take the under on these 12.5 boards. So, if he hit the bench a little early tonight, that would be great for us. Anyway, during that time, 13.4 rebounds per game. Now, that's almost a whole rebound more than his prop tonight of 12.5 boards. So it is worth noting. It is worth putting on our radars that his rebounds have trended upwards in his last 5 games versus his season averages where they're at 12. So there you go. Let's move over to RotoWire. Type in Sabo. And we've only got 2 books that have rebound props up for him. Now, it's kind of a tricky situation here. The first book's got him up at 11.5. Now, at 11.5, people are smashing the over, meaning they think he's going to get at least 12 boards in this game. But If you head over to the next book here, you got him at 12.5. Now at 12.5, he is a minus 115 under, which means between 11.5 and 12.5 lies 12. They think that this is setting up for a 12 rebound type of game for Sabonis. Now, again, if he's at 12 rebounds, which is his season average, that does get us paid here. So I'm going to stick with it. I think I'm going to stay with the under on Sabonis. Yeah, I hope that he doesn't play 40 minutes, because if he plays 40 minutes, there's a chance that this dude could go over 12.5 boards, meaning 13 or more rebounds. So I'm just hoping that this game turns into a blowout and that he's out of the game or off the court early in this one. So there we go. Domantas Sabonis, Dunzos. Next guy I want to talk about is Buddy Hield, rebound props. 4.5 boards against the Memphis Grizzlies. Game tips off at 8:10 p.m. over on PrizePicks. Let's go Buddy Hield real quick. And before we do that, let's look at the game totals and the spread real quick for this one. Where are you? There we go. Sacramento at Memphis, 229 implied points, with Memphis as an 8-point favorite here. So this game could turn into a blowout potentially. So knowing what we know, totals are pretty good, but the spread is a little bit worrisome here. But in this case, for Buddy Hield, over is the way that I was feeling about Buddy Hield when I first saw this prop. So let's go take a search here. There we go. Buddy Hield is at 4.7 rebounds. Now, 4.7 isn't a clear-cut definitive over versus the 4.5, but it does lean more toward 5 than it does toward 4. So 4.7, a good start if we are looking to take the over. Back to NBA.com, type in Buddy. Hopefully he's our buddy tonight when we lock in this player prop. You can see that for the season, he's at 4.7 rebounds per game, which again is his projection tonight, 4.7 rebounds, and 4.7 closer to 5 than 4. So that is a good sign. Now let's look and see if that 4.7 rebounds per game goes up or goes down when we look at his last 5 games. Hopefully it is going up. Now he's played all 5 of the last 5 games, over 35 minutes per game. Now during that time, his rebound numbers are trending up. Boom, that's exactly what we want to see. So he went from 4.7 rebounds per game up to 6.4 rebounds per game, which is fantastic. We just need him to be at 5 boards or more in this case. So 6.4 definitely checks off all the boxes for me. So we head back to RotoWire. We type in Buddy's name. Now we've got, 3 out of the 4 books that we like to reference here. First one's not doing us any favors. Minus 113 over, minus 113 under. The next one, same situation. Minus 10 under, minus 10 over. And last but not least, this one finally does give us a little bit of help here. Minus 128 on the over. And we are looking to go over here on Buddy Hield. So we've got at least one sports book that agrees that we should be going over on this 4.5 rebound prop. Plus, we've got the season averages, which are a little bit higher than 4.5, but his last 5 game averages is where things get really good for us. They are trending upward, so that is looking great. And then last but not least, the projections tonight have him going over 4.5 boards as well. So I'm sticking with it. I don't see anything that's pushing me off of this square here for going over on Buddy Hield and these 4.5 rebounds. All right, the next props I want to talk about are both 3-point props. First one we got is Caris LeVert. Next one we'll talk about is Julius Randle. Now, Caris LeVert, he's at 2.5 3-point makes. Let's go take a look here and see what's cracking here with Caris LeVert. Now, they're taking on the Milwaukee Bucks. Game tips off at 7:10 p.m. tonight. So let's go look at the game totals and the spread real quick. I've already talked about this one a little bit, but just as a refresher, 243.5 implied points, 9.5 point underdogs are the Indiana Pacers. So Caris LeVert at 2.5 3-point makes. We're going to have to do a little bit of research here and see if that's a good number to go over or under on. So we type in LeVert's name. Got to dig a little deeper to get to these 3-point stats. Click traditional splits. All right, and you can see that for the season, he is attempting 5.5 3-point attempts per game, 1.8 makes on those 5.5 attempts, good for a 32, almost 33% 3-point field goal percentage. So let's change this. Go to last five games, click run, and let's see if that 1.8 3-point makes goes up or goes down. Now it does look like it goes up here to 2.2, but from 1.8 to 2.2 isn't a significant jump. It still leans more toward him making just 2 3-pointers per game in his last 5. So the under still looking like a good way to go here on Caris LeVert. All right, so we'll cap things off here for Caris LeVert in this 3-point prop by going back over to RotoWire. Let's type in his first name, a little easier for us to spell. And you can see we got 2 books up with this 3-point prop in mind, 2.5 on both, minus 127 on the under. Pretty good juice there, but even better, hard to ignore. Not going to turn away from this. I'm actually going to take it because minus 160 is a fantastic number. The odds are very much in our favor to take the under on this 2.5 3-point prop. So nothing really persuading me to change my answer or change the way that I initially thought about this prop, and nothing making me want to fade either. So I'm going to take it going under on Caris LeVert and these 2.5 3-point makes. All right, we've reached the end of the video. We've got one last prop pick for you, and that's Julius Randle, 2.5 3-point makes. Now, there was a span here, I'd probably say about 5 to 10 games ago, where Julius Randle was just a sniper from 3-point range. Now, I think that's dried up a little bit. He's returned closer to his season averages in his last few games. 2.5 3-point makes, I'm thinking that going under might be my preference here. But let's go ahead and type in Randle's name on NBA.com. Let's bring up his player card and we'll dig in a little deeper here. All right, so he's appeared in 68 games this season. Now, over that 68 games, he's attempted almost 5.5 3-pointers per game. On those attempts, he's making 2.3 3-pointers per game. That's actually good for a 41.5% 3-point field goal percentage, which is surprising for a power forward like Julius Randle. You don't typically think of him as being like a stretch 4 or a guy who lives out beyond the arc. Now, he doesn't take a ton of threes, but the ones he does take, he makes for a good portion of them. So let's run the last 5 games and see what happens here. All right, so over the last 5, yeah, his attempts are up at 6, but his makes are down to 2. 2 3-point makes or less is where we need him to be if we are looking to take the under. Now, that's good for a 33% field goal percentage. So to put that in mind, I mean, his 3-point makes and his 3-point field goal percentages are trending downwards, which is exactly what we want to see. And it also kind of coincides with what I said earlier, where, you know, his last few games, the 3-point percentage has definitely dried up on him a little bit. All right, so we'll type in his name here to RotoWire. Now we've got, what, 3 out of 4 books? 3 out of 4 books have a prop up for him for 3-point makes. Now this first one, not helping us out. Minus 110 over, minus 110 under. Now over here on this one, minus 142 for the over. So they think he's good for at least 3 3-point makes or more. And then last but not least, a slight favorite to the over here at minus 118. So things are looking a little confusing here. We got a very strong odds here for the over at minus 142. But if you look at the season averages, you look at his last 5 game averages, it would tend to make you believe that the under is the way to go on Julius Randle and these 2.5 3-point makes. So when things look cloudy, they look confusing, they look murky, I kind of like just don't play that pick. You know what I mean? Fade it, walk away. You don't have to do it, but I think if it was me, I would probably hope that he sticks to going under on this 3-point prop. I mean, we got game totals here of what? Let's go back and look at them. 216.5 points. New York, a 5-point favorite at home, but yeah, with the totals being lower, I'm more likely to go under on a prop like this. So I'm going to stick with it. I think I'm going to go under, but you guys can do what you want. This one's a tough one. This is not one of my favorite picks from today's video. But anyway, that's going to do it for today's video. If this video brought you any value, hit the like button. Well, let's go for I don't know, 50 likes today. Does that sound good? 50 or more? I think we can do it. Definitely make sure you're subscribed, notifications turn on so you don't miss any of these picks because they will change. I'm warning you, they will change. This is CJ. Until the next video, guys, good luck tonight. Peace.